And welcome back to BVE 2016. So in my studio today is TC from StorageDNA, Robbie from Sony, welcome, and Russell from Polar Graphics. I keep wanting to say Polar, what is that, Polar Express, that choo-choo train? Yeah. Not appropriate, isn't it?
Not the same.
Right, boys, three very diverse parts of the industry. Why are you all here at the same time on my sofas?
I guess I'll go first. Hey, I'm TC. Thanks for having us on your show. We're here because we want to address a major challenge or pain in the market today, which is where do you keep all this massive amount of content that you're receiving? And we have three diverse technologies. We are StorageDNA in the software business. We got Sony, and we have Polar Graphics as well. And we're all coming together to put a very interesting solution that's going to address a lot of challenges and pain in how you store your data right now. So,
okay, and Robbie, you're from Sony. Tell me a little bit about why you're here.
Well, one of the products we have is ODA, which is an optical disk storage system, which means that as your media builds, you can actually put it on the shelf and it will actually last for 50 years. So therefore, you can actually have all your rushes and projects available. The nice thing, it works very similar to a hard disk. And actually, where most production companies will have hundreds of hard disks holding their production, but hard disks only give us about 5 years, and then they start to go wrong, and then you're crossing your fingers to get to them. The good thing is, this is a 50-year storage, and actually your storage will continue going.
And we will come back and talk more about your product in just a minute. Yep. Russell.
Hello, yeah.
Who are you and why you're here?
I'm from Polar Graphics, and we're the representative for StorageDNA in EMEA in Europe, and so we basically, from the UK, from our UK office in London, we support all of the customers. We've got hundreds of existing customers for StorageDNA, so we support all of them. But we're also moving forward with this new technology. We're looking at supporting that and helping people get the message across really what ODA is about and how it works with StorageDNA. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, and I'm curious about the link. Where's the link between the three of you?
I would say that Sony and StorageDNA have partnered together on getting this common solution to the market. We are the software vendor, they are the hardware providers, and what Polar Graphics does is brings us together in Europe and sells it as a solution to the customer. So.
And it really gives them sort of workflow that most people want to do. So I think each people have a different workflow, and StorageDNA actually gives that workflow to people in the market.
Now the customer has so many different options to share their data, and I'm curious, why would you particularly choose Sony?
I think one of the big challenges is, yes, there are a lot of options in the market, but the amount of data that people are getting, there are two key challenges that they're dealing with is, how much money do you spend to keep this data online and accessible so you can reuse it, remonetize it, reshare it, because resharing means you make more money. But at the same time, keeping this data online and accessible means you're spending a lot of money to keep it online and accessible. Now, what we've brought to the market is extremely unique because it allows you to keep your data online and accessible on optical media, but at the same time, it's highly cost effective. I mean, we are talking, 4 cents a gigabyte to keep this data online, and that's the key secret is we have a new storage medium now that allows you to store data forever. 50 years is almost as ever, at about 4 cents a gigabyte, but use it directly like a hard drive. So it's sort of the best of all the worlds put together in one storage option and one storage solution, and that combination is currently not offered by any other storage vendor today, which is what we're all really excited about. So.
Amazing,
yeah.
Amazing. I love that. An early adopter.
Early adopter, we're evangelizing it, we're excited. We think it's a game changer. I think it's going to dramatically change the way the industry perceives storage. So.
Just before you explain to our 18,000 viewers, how, for anybody interested in more of what you're talking about, give your Twitter angle. Which camera should we do it to? Do it to that camera there.
Well, Sonny, what is your Twitter handle?
It's Sony Pro Europe.
Yeah.
And
somebody knows.
And we're
okay, just 1 second, TC. So for Sony, if you want to get in touch with anything, if you are interested in anything that that Robbie's talking about from Sony, if you go to Twitter @Sony Pro Europe, you can post questions. You can find out lots of different information relating to what we're talking about today. TC, what's
and
yours?
Ours is at storage_DNA.
Okay, so at storage_DNA.
_DNA. Yeah,
Okay.
and we encourage you guys.
Ours is very simple. It's at Polar Graphics.
Okay, and Russell at Polar Graphics.
Not Express.
Not Express.
But not Express.
Not Express.
Yeah, but I mean, we're encouraging, get onto our Twitter handle. We're going to be extremely chatty about the technology. We're just starting to showcase it, but we are going to have lots of white papers, demo, workflow videos, because we're excited to share what we've done with this technology, with the market, and I think, staying in tune with our Twitter handle would give you the best information. So.
And the other thing is, of course, we're here. We've got a stand R06, where you can come and see us, and we can demo the software and the
Perfect.
technology.
Tell me more about that, Russell. Polar Graphics, stand
R06.
R06.
Yeah,
okay,
so-
what are you sharing?
So because we're representatives for a number of other products, so we're representatives for storage and various different Bluefish cards and Ultimate, as well as StorageDNA. But as far as what we're talking about here, we've got the actual ODA on the stand. We've got StorageDNA software there. We can actually demo and show you directly how, we'll come into this a bit more, how we can access the cartridge directly from StorageDNA software. So you can, instead of having to wait for a restore where you would with a traditional archive, you can access that footage material, you can subclip it, you can edit with it directly from the cartridge.
Okay.
And really you can only believe that if you see it, really. So it's a really good way is to go and see that demo and to see how we do that.
I'm interested about the impact of BVE, this event, the #1 event in your industry, in your space. Why is it so important for you guys to have a presence here over these next 3 days?
I think this is where we actually meet the people, and then the people really want to see what solutions they can help them in their day-to-day production and market, really. So BV is really good that you actually meet people. I know we're all Twittered up and everything, but when it comes down to it, someone really wants to ask a question and get an answer and actually see how it works.
Mm-hmm. And guys, viewers at home, I want to remind you, so for anybody that's watching this and is interested in directing some questions to my panel today, if you go to the Twitter handle at BVEXPO and write down your questions, and they'll be fed straight through to me so I can ask the panel. Now, I have some questions here. Okay. Who are we going to go with first? So, first question that's been posted on our Twitter feed. What is Sony and StorageDNA doing with optical media technology at BVE? Who's going to answer that? TC?
Yeah, I can take that. When we first heard about optical media, we were very, very excited by the possibilities. I mean, one of the interesting things that I want to show you guys is, we have this clear case which shows what the optical media essentially looks like. And, to put it very simply, it's a packaged cartridge with 12 Blu-ray discs in there. And what excited us about this media was that, hey, these 12 Blu-ray discs are all randomly accessible, which means I could use it as a hard drive. So what piqued our curiosity is, hey, if this can be put on a shelf for 50 years and it's cost effective, it's 4 cents a gigabyte, and it can be used like a hard drive, there's some very interesting possibilities with this medium. So after 2 years of developing a software that specializes in making this medium randomly accessible, that's what we're doing together at BVE. So
Who's your customer? Very quickly, just before we go to the break, who's going to be buying this?
It's every single media and entertainment customer who produces data and who wants to store it cost effectively, but who still wants access to it easily is a customer of ours.
Okay, TC, Robbie and Russell, hold those valuable thoughts. We are going to a break and we'll be back. Don't forget to tweet me what you want to hear about on the show with the hashtag KitPlus. I will see you in 5. And welcome back to KitPlus live from the fabulous BVE 2016. Isn't Excel wonderful today? Please do drop by my stand N55. Come and say hello and collect your free copy of your Pro Video and Broadcast news. There's some excellent reviews. I'm really interested in drones. and there's a whole feature on evolving drones. Okay, guys, you have been very patient. Meet my friends in my studio today, TC, Robbie, and Russell. So we're talking about how people archive their media and store it. Okay, and before we went to a commercial break, I had a question. Russell, can you help me with this question? What is Sony and StorageDNA doing with... No, forget that. We've done that question, haven't we? Scratch that.
I felt like I was going back in time just briefly there as like
yeah.
a
I need to go
moment.
forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going forward. How do you see the optical media storage solution working in the media and entertainment market today? That's a question that somebody has posted onto our Twitter feed.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, at Polar Graphics, we've sold storage for a long time. And what we're often seeing and what we see is, people are filling up their storage, their central storage. It's a very expensive, big chunk of storage. They fill it up, they know they've got to archive it. And traditionally, LTO has been the way that StorageDNA have done that, is to archive it. But there's sometimes, and we've noticed more and more, with this content, the amount of content that's coming in, they're reluctant to then archive that because of the time it might take them to bring it back or whatever. So where this new format from Sony, where the optical disk archive comes in, is that with StorageDNA, you can get direct access to that. So you can archive it, you've got a 50-year shelf life, but that archive can then be accessed directly from StorageDNA software. So that means that you can archive it knowing that you can get to it pretty much instantly. You load the disk, you load the cartridge, and you can then subclip and transcode directly from that cartridge.
And who's that perfect for? Which type of customer is that perfect for?
Any small to medium size, even the larger edit suites, anybody that's filling up central storage that is very expensive and they need to find an alternative and we StorageDNA have come up with this removable nearline phrase, which is that you can have that cartridge, you can take it and you can put it on the shelf. It's removable, but it's also, you plug it back in and you've got direct access to it. So that's something that's a little bit different to the way the LTO was working in the past, and therefore it's a game changer. I don't know whether I should use the word revolutionary because it's it might be overused, but TC would probably say more about that.
I agree. So,
Are you bigging up your part?
no, I mean, I believe that Russell has put it together, really well, which is we're excited that I think is a new storage option available to the industry, who is right now struggling, right, with where do we put our content. And this gives them that option very cost effectively, but also makes that content accessible. I mean, we absolutely believe it's a revolutionary concept.
So just to summarize, okay, so this technology, the USP of it, it's more accessible for the consumer. Give me some bullet points here.
Cost effective,
Yeah.
accessible, and long-term reliable. Which today you gotta take that value proposition and that USP, and it's shared across two different storage mediums, disk and LTO tape. And for the first time, we've been able to put all these USBs together in one storage option, and that's what's exciting.
For anybody interested in finding out more information about what we're talking about today, can you look into that camera and share your Twitter handle, please?
It's at storage_DNA.
Russell? Robbie.
Yeah, I'll have a go. No, I'll go first. And it's Sony Pro Europe, or at Sony Pro Europe is our Twitter address.
Perfect. Russell?
It's at Polar Graphics, and polar-graphics.com is the website. You can find out a lot of information there.
Okay, so we are encouraging people to go onto Twitter as you're watching this and do post any questions that you want my fabulous panel to answer specifically for you. We have another question. This one's from Alex in Manchester.
Okay.
Why did Sony decide to go down the optical route rather than data tape as an archive format? Alex in Manchester, thanks for your question.
I mean, when we look at digital files nowadays, we're all used to non-linear editors and actually working within files. So we didn't really think a long-term storage to tape is always the right way. And actually you see everybody moving away from tape. So we came up with a format that, one, lasts a very long time, but also gives you that access that works like a hard drive. So we wanted a format that actually done that, and we did that with the optical disc. And that's exactly what it gives you. So it's something that is very similar to a hard drive that we all love and just plug in and goes, but also then gives you storage. So that's what we're looking at. And if we look at production companies, we see so many production companies where they will fill the hard drives, as Russell said, and then they just buy a USB drive, put the media on it, put it away on a shelf, and eventually they will open the shelf and they will all have loads of hard drives on. One, they can't find it, and two, they don't know if it'll work in about 5 years.
And that's the thing that's interesting is the failure rates of hard drives,
Yeah.
even the really good ones, you know. So this really gives you the reliability as well. That's
Yeah.
really what it's also adding.
The people at you know that show, You've Been Framed? They are going to love you guys.
Really?
Can you imagine the poor researchers
How
there?
easy, yeah.
How easy is the researcher's job going to be when the production manager comes in and says, do you remember that clip 25 years ago of the dog that went trampolining?
As long as they put their metadata right, which we
Tell me about metadata.
altogether.
This is where these guys come in.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we also specialize. StorageDNA specializes in is if we are moving your data to optical, we want to extract every bit of information in there. That's what we do. We extract every piece of camera metadata and we make it searchable for you so that you can go back and say, hey, 25 years ago, there was, somebody jumping on a trampoline. Find that for me. You can find that cartridge, plug it in, and instantly use it in your Avid, in your Adobe. So we've really made that entire process of finding your content and repurposing it extremely, extremely easy now.
So I feel you're really listening to your market. You're really listening to what is it my customers want to help take me forward into the next stage of technology.
That's
yeah,
right.
Very good.
Yeah,
okay, you want another question, boys?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. This question is from Alice in London. Okay, so thank you Alice, describe some key workflow where this technology comes into play now. Who wants to share?
I can start with
start.
one, and then one of the very interesting things that we've done is not presented this just as a technology to the industry. One of the key workflows that we are looking at is how do you integrate an Avid Media Composer or an Adobe Premiere Suite with the optical medium, because essentially what's happening is if you look at post-production environments, Avid and Adobe are market-leading solutions, and one of the big challenges that any application editor has is, hey, I'm running out of storage on my ISIS or on my Facilis, and now where do I put this content? But it's not important just to offload that media to optical, but what is also important, how does that workflow work within an Avid or an Adobe environment? So we've built some incredible hooks, like the ability to parse an Avid bin or an Avid project or an Adobe project, offload that content to optical, and then you come back to the same question: is if it's offloaded to optical, how do I find it? Well, in an Avid environment, you can export an ALE, and we use the ALE to find your assets and link them back directly from ODA into your Avid suite. In Adobe, you can use an EDL. So we've got some very interesting hooks for Avid editors, for Adobe editors to be able to offload media to optical, save a bunch of money, but then get direct access to that content from optical directly in your edit suite. So that's one very interesting workflow we are looking at. There are other workflows like camera masters, for example. So
what I would say is dailies. So when you're actually working on set and you're in dailies, the one thing we can do with StorageDNA is basically when the cards, whatever they are, they come in to say the guy who's looking after that, he put it into his Mac. They're sending to StorageDNA. StorageDNA will actually make a copy of it onto a hard disk, but also it will burn a copy straight to archive. So you've already got your archive sorted straight away, and then you've got your usable copy, which will go to post, and that will then go through the process. So
Very
therefore, you've saved a lot of process going through, and it makes the job easier. You can add your metadata at that point so you can find it, and then you can actually easily actually pull that clip in. If you lose it off your hard drives, then you can also go to what's on the shelf, get you a ODA out, and that will then give you access to that online footage at that point.
So making your customers' life more simple.
Absolutely.
yeah, one of the things I want to add is, we've come up with a server which is that tiny, precisely for the field, right? So you can take one of these into the field, you can offload your camera masters right onto it, and the second you plug in an ODA drive to that server, it actually makes a copy of the data for you. And it's designed to be easy, small, and accessible.
Can you see these? Okay. Where do we get these from, TC?
Yeah, if you go to,
do we buy these or do we rent them?
Yeah, no, you can buy them right now. Polar Graphics is, our hub, I would say, in Europe to acquire these solutions. So.
Okay, very good. Russell, a final note before we go. What are you most excited about in the broadcast arena?
In broadcast generally, or related to this this discussion?
Whatever you want to share. I want to know what your business is excited about.
Well, I think, I mean, when we go back to the amount of content, we've talked about that, the amount of content that people are dealing with, and I'd say they're just struggling to cope with that. So what's exciting for this project really is that we're giving them a way to help them to deal with that and to deal with it easily. As we all love to just, the reason we like iPhones and tablets and things is it's easy to do. With StorageDNA, they've got a very simple user interface. It's a beautiful way of being able to just not have to worry about your archive. So this storage is a game changer really, and it would be really interesting to see how people embrace it. And I'd encourage people to come and have conversations with us and say, we're doing this, or we've got this workflow, or we've got that workflow. So that makes it an exciting, new medium in that respect, and a way for us to talk to customers and find out how would they do it, because we think we've got the answers. We don't necessarily know. It's nice if people come and say, well, we're doing it like this. How would that work in this workflow? And from that feedback, we can develop the product and make it, improve it going forward. So.
Okay, so if you have any more questions that you want to ask our guru, our resident guru, Russell, from Polar Graphics. Russell, remind me, what stand are you on?
We're on R06 or R06, yeah.
Okay.
Come and talk to us.
Stand R06. And if anybody wants to speak to you on Instagram, at Polar Graphics, Robbie, remind me, what stand, Robbie's from Sony, and Sony can be accessed via the Twitter handle at Sony Pro Europe. And TC, what stand are you on?
We're with Polar Graphics, so we are on the same stand as them. So R06.
R06, guys.
If you're lucky, I'll be there as well.
You'll be there as well. Put the kettle on, boys.
Absolutely.
Well, there's beer or Coke, sorry.
And will you be available for the networking as well? There's a special bar area, isn't there? It's open till 7 o'clock. If anybody has any related questions.
We are experts at networking.
Yes.
Experts
and drinking
networking.
beer.
Very good. Thank you for being fabulous KitPlus guests. Now, if anyone's watching this and has any questions for my panel or anything else related to this show that you want me to talk about, do tweet us at #KitPlus and do follow at TVBay. Okay, that's another BVE 2016 live show in the bag. I'll be back at 2 o'clock with Tally Tech and G-Tech. Thank you for watching.